Okay, Bob, you may have seen the news, but I'll just explain it to you here before we go on the air, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, no Jeremy today. And for some reason, folks at headquarters are a little bit worried. But if you look up our show, right, you go to the IMDb page, you go to Letterboxd, the highest rated episode was when I did this before. I'm going to go solo, right? Find out and talk about the stuff everyone wants me to talk about. I can do Best of Bud Matt. We can do like the Roddy Strong round. I'll just, I'll talk about all the stuff that everyone's been waiting for me to get into. And then like an hour, I'll throw it to you for your 3 minutes, and then I'll go back to the important stuff. Like we'll do that kind of thing. Use that call.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, actually, I got a call from HQ earlier today, and they're like, we can't let Joe do this on his own. Can you fill in? And that's actually why I'm here.
Fill it like for the whole show?
Yeah.
Why can't I just do that? It seems like this is the perfect chance for me to like really, because people always say to me, you don't talk about Buddy Matthews enough and Roderick Strong and.
Yeah, I mean, they're just worried about the ratings. Just they want it to stay kind of steady overall. I know you had the one episode, but they don't know that you can capture that again.
Okay, well, at least like you're getting Jeremy's pay, right?
Yeah, Jeremy's and yours, yes.
Mine?
Yeah.
Man, fuck Bob O'Neill.
And I said, psychosis!
This one's for all pals and O'Neill. Starts a feud from the jaws of victory with the point guard and the chubby cheese. Distraction. Hey! Podcast. Pure filth. Wins and losses don't mean shit. So watch Joseph Grinch as I do his bit. Distraction. Hey! Roll up. 1, 2, 3.
What a time to be alive, Bob. What a time. They've trusted us with this stage, huh? You and I, couple pals from the Grinner Circle on the main Fightful channel, distracting some folks. Bob, how are you on this wonderful Thursday evening?
I'm doing well, man. We got some nice weather here, which you don't really expect in December, but I'm really happy about it. Got the window open, got some fresh air coming in, and it's good stuff.
Have you heard that winter is coming?
Winter is coming. That's correct. Yes.
Yes. And that is one of our main topics today here on the Distraction Podcast. This will be a very professional program. As you all know, Jeremy always, leads us down these dark alleyways and hijinks. Bob, you know me. I'm a serious podcast host, right? So no time for shenanigans here. Now, with that being said, all jokes aside, I know the chat we're talking about and stuff. If you're on this channel, you saw earlier Sean's video about the Jeff Hardy news and like, I don't can speak for Bob on this. Neither of us know nearly enough to give any kind of comment on that. So, like, if it's a super chat, obviously I'll read it. If it's a comment, like, you want to say something about it, that's fine. But I don't think, Bob, you can offer your perspective, but, like, that doesn't feel like a topic for you and I to kind of delve into, right?
No, I don't think so. I think especially at this point, we should just let it be for now. I think all we can really say is the same thing that everyone else has been saying.
Yeah, exactly that. We hope that Jeff is well, obviously, and so on and so forth. Is my connection breaking up, Bob?
A little bit, but nothing too bad. So you're good so far.
In a minute, it's going to be your solo show. So just everyone hold tight for that because there's some problems here. It's not ideal. Winter is coming. I warned you all. Let's get to those aforementioned super chats. Here we go. Riley here comes. So all the Hook fans out there, get loud, get rowdy. We are all hookers. Bob, your thoughts on being a hooker? Do you confirm or deny that allegation?
No comment.
Wow. Always coy, Bob. Always coy. JJ, the great JJ, big star. He says, hello, my favorite Big Chief. Hope you're doing well. Love to you, Jeremy, and all the grinners. We're doing good, pal. I kind of worked people in thinking this was going to be a solo show. I'm not that insane. I did it once before, never again. We've got great Bob O'Neill here to join me instead. A liar here claiming that, no, this is factual. Bobbers are, in fact, better than hookers. Take that out of context and do what you will with it. Billy got off TV, James says, is going to hurt the ratings this week.
Factual.
Speaking of such, AEW Dynamite, an eventful show, to say the least. The first 30 minutes of it was an absolute just roller coaster. The Battle Royal, there was a great tweet about it where someone was like, more happened in that Battle Royal than has happened in full Royal Rumbles before. I mean, a lot went on there. Bob, it looked like a slightly divisive episode. I personally loved it. Where were you at on Dynamite this week?
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. I was thinking like around the right kind of in the middle of Rio and Jimmy Hayter. I'm like, this has been a pretty good show, and they haven't even done the main event, which I was looking forward to the most yet. So yeah, no, I was a fan of it. I think they did a really good job. I think there wasn't like a ton of downtime. Just kind of everything had a point, and that's kind of all you can look for in a wrestling television.
I've realized after 2 years here, people have while like the fan base obviously shares an interest in the show, there's a difference in what people consider to be Dynamite at its best, And I have to say that for me, for good and bad, last night was an example of where I'm personally out on the best side, because it was chaotic. There was stuff that obviously went wrong from a production point of view. There was some stuff that kind of made you scratch your head in terms, and then it was like the classic angle playbook. I howled with laughter at poor Julia Hart, bless her. That was just an incredible visual, an incredible moment. So it was Dynamite at its utmost in every which way. It was carnage. The pacing, man, when they're on like that, the pacing is something else. Now, you're a big John Silver guy. I want your latest thoughts on the whole Dark Order saga. The Bryan Danielson. He's now obviously at the boss, Hangman Page. What was your thoughts on the match last night? And then afterwards, we'll get into next week. But firstly, Silver and Bryan.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. They're really two of my favorite wrestlers, so I was always going to like it. But, the thing I like about John Silver matches is, he gets a lot in and he makes you believe that he could win, even though he's not going to. Going in, he's not going to beat Danielson. But it's like they gave him enough. And even when he faced Cole on Rampage, you knew he wasn't going to win that match either. But he gets enough in and he, makes you believe. And that's nice because there's not a ton of guys that do that anymore.
And in addition, you had the situation where, because Bryan had been pretty decisive over the other Dark Order members, it made Silver look better by comparison, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If Bryan had gone 12 minutes with all of them, he has less punch when he does it against Silver. So it was absolutely a hit. The question is, and Bob, you're very online, as we all know. Famously online, Robert O'Neill. Where is your percentage at? As you see more and more people that you and I respect leaning towards this take that Bryan Danielson should be winning the AEW title next week. So I know both of us, we share an instinctive, hang on a second, wait. But are you wavering on it at all? Or are you still set?
No, I'm really not, because I think, Hangman beating Danielson when Kenny couldn't is kind of like the final check of that story, right? I did this, you couldn't do it. And I don't know, to have him lose his first title defense, I understand the chase was good, and the title run can't really live up to the hype of the chase, and that's just something that's going to happen. But to have him lose his first title defense, I don't.
Right. It feels like one of those deals where it's like, look, the chase may be the money, but you can at least try to make the reign live up to it, right? You can try to make that worthwhile. I don't know if Bob's froze or I have froze. Seems bad. Chat, tell me if I'm freezing so I can remedy this. This is very concerning.
Your video has kind of been lagging a little bit every so often, but the audio hasn't dropped. So
okay, so I can keep talking without killing the program.
Yeah.
All right. Look, you got to try to make the title reign live up to it. You may know you're up against it because the chase was iconic, but you got to try. One defense, I think, is too quick to pull the plug on basically your promotional ace. Now, quickly, let's circle back to these super chats. Good question here from Ryan. Have you got the scoop on this Undisputed Elite gear that you were tweeting about, Bob?
Yes, I got the original sweatshirt in my mentions 7 different times yesterday. Didn't ask for that, but
Yeah, it would be funny if this whole thing never happens, right? None of it happens. It would be an incredible bit. Now look at this. Bob, what do you call Ruby Solo? This is a game changer for your bits.
Yeah, no, I call her Ruby Solo because she doesn't have any friends.
Now, how do you feel about the idea that her destination is unknown, Bob?
Well, I think, last night her destination was UBS Arena in Long Island.
It's 2 now with Ruby. I appreciate that. It's good stuff. Okay, Chops, we're going to circle back to this Cody Rhodes topic. Very, very scary times and a complete victory lap for our friend Jeremy Lambert. So we shall see. Frank here showing some love to the tremendous Nyla Rose bit with the with the attack on Ruby. Yeah, so bless. Just bless Cody Rhodes. Every time that Jeremy Lambert informed me he's going to be the next TNT champ, I rolled my eyes because I'll be honest, I didn't think it was a chance that we were going to get the match, right? Not even didn't even cross my mind. Bless me, I'm so innocent here. You know, Cody does his stuff in the verse, right? As we wait for the next WWE guy, he'll feud with Kyle O'Reilly for 6 months. And when he came out and he had the burns on his arm, Bob, I swear to you, I was like, oh my god, Jeremy Lambert is going to win. I don't think he is. I think it's pretty obvious that Scorpio is going to go after that, so it wouldn't make sense. But what was your reaction when that music hit and out come Code Man, burns and all? What was your response?
Honestly, I just thought it was funny. Like, I think that's just all you can do with Cody at this point. Like, and the part at the end where he didn't know which tunnel to go back through, just excellent stuff.
I said this last week. I don't know what the end game is. It's segment for segment for me, right? Like, is he entertaining this week? He popped me tremendously this week. His whole thing this week was incredible. The tunnel, and as Dave mentions here in the chat, the line about from one good guy to another. Just come on, man. And like, here's the thing with that stuff. If you don't like it, I get it completely. You know, like Bob, we can't all be as into it as Bob, where he cried with tears when cried tears of laughter when the golden shovel came out and he took a victory lap.
Yeah.
You know, like I get it if you don't like it, but I am at the same point Bob's at, right? I can't help but admire the moxie of it all, man. Just a man living in his own medium altogether. Incredible. Franco, power of the show here, sending a nice little super chat. No comment, Franco. If you want there to be a comment, please send it in. I'll read it without the super chat. If not, all how. So, last night's show opened with a pre-inside baseball event, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we all know that CM Punk and co saw the tweets about MJF should open first dance coming out to Punk's music, right? He's referenced it. He's talked about it. Tony's talked about it. I'm pretty sure this has been a thing. And we know the tweets existed beforehand.
Yeah.
I have to say, that was truly brilliant to switch it completely and have the opposite happen in Long Island. And Punk basically cut his version, like he's kind of like parody of an MJF promo. And he went back to the poor Islanders 15 times over. It was incredible, I thought. What was your reaction to the opening? Firstly, the fact that it was purely to pop us Twitter nerds alongside the actual wrestling segment, but then the segment itself.
Oh yeah, no, and when they do stuff that is just to pop Twitter, I'm cool with it because I'm part of that. Like when they did Cleaner, I Got This a couple weeks ago, just incredible stuff. It's something that only a few people are going to understand, but I'm one of them. So,
yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm glad they did it because that's something that everyone's kind of been talking about doing for extended periods of time with CM Punk, and for Punk to actually, be the one to do it was hilarious. And yeah, I mean, kind of the most heel promo we've seen from him so far.
He's just, and this is a great comment from Zodiac. You can see on Punk's face how it was so fun to be a heel. We got a little bit of Kingston, right? I'll never forget him looking at the people when they were booing him and being like, I'm going to kick the shit out of this guy, right? And he reined in with the knees, and he really has had some fun playing with that. But this was almost to like an absurd degree. It was so over the top. He was trying to get those people to boo him, and it worked. At one point, he got the, shut the fuck up chant, which, Bob, I hope no one's saying that in our chat right now. That'd be sad. I got the sense, and this isn't the perfect comparison for a range of reasons, to say the least, but I think all involved, and everyone that loves pro wrestling loves the whole thing about, Brett being a babyface in Canada, right? And I think the collective decision was, let's just let these people cheer MJF. Now, in the end, he was still MJF. He was still as dastardly as ever and still very much the villain. But I thought it was refreshing to see them lean into him getting cheered and actually encourage it in a lot of ways. What's your thoughts on that as a wider talk? We see it, WrestleMania, the Monday after WrestleMania, we always see this kind of, Bizarro World and all that stuff. They really lent into it and let the people cheer him here. Was that for you or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can do it when you're in someone's hometown or whatever. Like, you don't necessarily need to stick to the alignments. That's not a big deal to me. because they're going to cheer him anyway. So, like,
Right.
you might as well get out in front of it.
I always remember the Young Bucks saying, your favorite tag team, Bob. They were talking about how lame they think it is when a heel gets cheered and they like go out their way to dunk on the fans. And what they were saying was, if a heel was really that arrogant and egotistical, they would love the fact that the people cheered them, you know?
Yeah.
And like they were talking about how some of that old school wrestling stuff, the psychology of it isn't as good, as kind of grounded as you would think. I think MJF, this was the perfect example. Why would you have him go out there and cut a promo burying the crowd? He would love the fact they cheered him, and the video package was perfect.
Yes.
I think it's really interesting. Where do you think the whole, like Punk and MJF, last night was the first time, Bob, that we heard Punk talk about the title. He said, I'm watching next week's title match, right?
Mm-hmm.
So 2 questions. Number 1, when do you think this match is taking place for MJF and Punk? And then 2, who's winning and what does it mean for that title? What's your instinctual response to that?
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to pick a winner, right? Because, like, you would think if you're going to do a title match with Punk, he should win it, right? Like, maybe MJF doesn't have to win it, but if you're going to do Punk, he should win it. So, but, like, is it too early for him to do that? But I think either way, the actual match is probably going to happen at either New Year's Day or what's it called? New Year's Bash? What do they call it? The New Year's show.
Smash.
Yeah. Or that first TBS show. I think they're going to do it at one of those. I mean, like, I would probably have MJF win, just go into a feud with Page and be like, I beat CM Punk. I can do whatever now. And then I'd probably have Page retain, and then, because I think it should be Cole or Punk that takes the title off Page. I don't think it should be MJF, because MJF is champion, and we've talked about this a little bit before. I don't know necessarily how that would look.
It's interesting, right? You and I, like, I wear it on this show, man. I talk about it. I change my mind on MJF every week.
Yeah.
He was brilliant this week. God, was he great? And the stuff he did in the ad break, I don't know how much of it you guys saw, but like the crowd was chanting like one more time when he run in and punched someone and then left again. And like he was like written like he was doing a Ricky Morton hot tag. Like his instincts are awesome at times. And he has this great like ability to kind of just the way that he can get a crowd going is tremendous. And as Frank mentions, the way that he recreated that entrance was just that was wonderful. He was brilliant. So when I see that, I kind of go, he could be champ. He shouldn't be behind Adam Cole. But then in terms of overall polish, there's a lot to be said for Cole. What would be your preference between Punk and Adam Cole in terms of next champ?
I mean, I think you do Cole, and then you have Punk take it off of him, and then you run a Punk and Bryan program for the title.
Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, this is like well into this time next year. So
yeah, I think we both agree. Hangman. I mean, you don't want to put a date on it because that's not how wrestling. But like, it should probably get to a Double or Nothing, right? That's 6 months. That seems like a pretty nice like kind of just lock that in. I like this from Ricardo. Nice super chat. He says the crowd was heel and I'm here for it. There was a nice element that we were just living like it sounds dumb because I just buried what they do, but like it was Bizarro World in kind of a fun way, right? It was like let's just switch everything around and see how it feels for a little bit. MJF making a babyface save and then immediately revealing his true colors. That was perfection. That was great stuff. So yeah, no, there was a lot to like. Okay, this is Drew here with a deepest ones for you, Bob. Super Chase says, I want to be an asshole, but still seen as a good person too. Why can't it be this easy outside of professional wrestling? Bob, you've tackled this a lot especially in your time since being a podcast star. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's not easy. There's a balance to it, but once you figure out that balance, man, you're golden.
There you go, golden. And does Bob not look golden right now? Compared to me, he does look golden. To be fair, he looks like he's sitting on a beach compared to me. But I'm intrigued by this timeline. Battle of the Belts. Like, I guess you can get Hangman ready for a title defense for Battle of the Belts with someone else, but I think it's a big enough main event. Battle of the Belts. I know people want a title match because of the name, but just thinking of it as a big time special. MJF CM Punk with what would have been about 6 weeks of build. I think that can main event your first special. I really do. And the question is like, to me, my guess would be that whoever wins that match and however it ends, you run it back at Revolution, so you let the feud continue. Because that's the thing is, if you run that New Year's Smash, which is a fair suggestion on your part for sure, but then it's like, okay, so then what's your big match for the special? Who do you get ready for Hangman?
Yeah,
it's difficult, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing too, like, because that first TBS show, I think the main event's gonna be the TBS title, which that makes sense.
Yep.
So yeah, you do need a big match for Battle of the Belts, and with that show only being an hour, like if you put Punk and MJF there, you're taking up probably almost half the show. So
right,
you can do it. Yeah.
The hour format, if that is what this is going to be fascinating, right? Like the idea that you need to do something that feels completely separate from what Rampage is.
Yes.
Because like I love Rampage. However, the vibe of Rampage is it's a nice wrestling show. And you want to make the specials feel like pay-per-views, basically, like mini pay-per-views.
Mm-hmm.
And watching them try and find that balance will be interesting. Clearly, they have the talent for it. There's no two ways about that. There is some talk, and this is intriguing to me. Let me find who said it first. See, the belt stuff this is where maybe I'm losing the plot. Dave says, I hate to say it, but I could see a universe where Codeman wins the belt, and the main of Battle of the Belts is Hangman versus Cody. See, here's the thing, guys. Many people are talking about the belt stuff. I could be proven completely wrong here. I just think that name is exclusively Tony Poppin himself regarding Clash of the Champions. I don't think they're trying to frame it as a gimmick of the belts. Does that make sense? Like Clash of the Champions was just the name of those specials, and this is their tribute.
Yeah, well, because a lot of those, Clash of Champions weren't like main evented by a one-on-one title match or like tag matches, or they do,
Right.
Four Horsemen would get involved with some stuff. So yeah, it wasn't necessarily like this has to be a match for a big title.
That was just the brand, right? That was and that's what I'm kind of getting at now. Look, I could be completely wrong. It could be title versus title every single time, but now Jason's correct here too. Like the promo is the champ, so we shall see. But I am kind of fascinated just to see what that program looks like in terms of format. Yeah. Riley here with another super chat. We appreciate Riley. He says, I will say, whenever MJF is to win the world title, it should be on pay-per-view, and then Fallout, the pay-per-view show, should be in Long Island. It depends how you want to portray it, right? Like if he's going to rob a Hangman Page for the belt, then it's like, I don't know if I'd want him going back to Long Island and getting a hero's welcome and stuff. So it depends how you do it, but I agree. The moment would be spectacular. Now, this is interesting. This is a big topic for today, Bob, okay? Curtis he's thrown the lob up for us. He says, do we think Winter is Coming has a yearly big debut or just the original for Sting? Now, there was a podcast clip on the Barstool pod that Tony Khan was on. Sorry, I forget the name, but there was a clip, the Confirmed Shoot sent it to me, of him very coyly saying, Bob, I have a surprise, right? Like he got asked, he said, yes, I have a surprise. So the question is, what is that surprise? Is it Winter is Coming? And why is Wyndham coming?
Yeah, like your mind goes right to him or Kyle O'Reilly, right? Like just off the bat, just because of convenience sake.
Yeah, I
don't I'm interested in seeing, and I was kind of thinking about this last night. Like, is this Malachi Black Varsity Blonde stuff just a one-off, or is Malachi going to need a tag team partner, and they're going to bring that person in at Winter is Coming? Because then it might be Bray then.
I think that's Brody, and that's Brody King.
Yeah, and is Brody King, and there's no offense to him, I like him a lot. Is he a big enough surprise? But that's something that we've run into with Christian too, where everyone's definition of that is different. So,
well, the key there is that, in Tony Khan's defense, which surprise, because he hasn't made a big deal of it and he just answered the question. I think Brody's a good enough surprise. Because remember, Sting wasn't even teased, right? It just happened. They didn't. Yeah. I don't think they even suggested anything was going to happen. The podcast was rustling with Brandon Walker. Okay, so I haven't watched the full interview, but I'm told Tony does very good stuff there. So go check that out. Quick super chat here from Matt. Oh, how? He says, what if Battle of the Belts is TNT versus World title and Cody beats Sammy at Christmas, Cody is full heel against Hangman? I think there's something to it. I'm always hesitant about title versus title because it's difficult to book without, we see it with Survivor Series every year, right? Like, how do you book that without immediately making the other title seem inferior?
Yes.
Do you do a deal where you have a TNT champ beat the world champ to earn a world title shot and then he loses that and then it's like we're equal? I don't know. It's a hard. What do you think about that as a concept in general, the whole title versus title thing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't love it because, then you either make one of your champions look bad or the one who wins either has to just vacate one of them or gets pinned for it. I mean, it's not like something that's easy to, I think, maneuver and like make all of your guys still look good.
Yeah, it's difficult. Quickly to answer Frank's question here, the Christmas Eve Rampage is now on Christmas Day.
Oh.
I do not believe we have a time for that, right? I hope it's not going to be the same time. We can move a little bit early, please. So yeah, that's the one.
Because I thought he meant Christmas Eve as well, and Christmas Day. That's pretty cool.
Yes, Christmas Day, and folks, here's a plug for you on the post show of this program. I do intend to talk with Bob some about Christmas wrestling. It's a topic him and I have chatted before. Because for those of you who don't know, that is Bob's birthday. That means Cody Rhodes with the new TNT champion on Bob's birthday. Now I will say, Bob, I'm sure you saw last night. You watched the program 4 times over and took notes. When young Eddie Kingston began to talk and there was no sound, I've spent all of today assuming that's what will happen when I host this show. Like, it will just be us we'll think we're doing a really great show and we'll never check the chat out of fear. And then afterwards it'll be like, we didn't hear anything you guys said. So what was your thoughts on that little direction they took there? Because there's something to Santana or in this case just Ortiz, but we know what's coming. With Chris Jericho looming, that seems interesting. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I don't know. Like, is Eddie Kingston going to try and like get those guys away from the inner circle finally? And that's just kind of how they write that off, and that's kind of what we've been looking for. Or, is Jericho not going to be back, and Kingston's just going to team with those guys instead of Jericho against 2.0?
I think it's a deal where I think Jericho comes back, and you kind of play out the resentment, right?
Yeah.
Like, why are Santana and Ortiz pals with the guy that didn't save me? Right? And like you let Chris kind of lose his mind. I think at this point in Chris Jericho's career, him playing the heel that has kind of lost the plot makes a lot of sense. Kingston is beloved, obviously. It would have been nice if we could hear what he said last night. It's always ideal when someone's talking. And there was a great moment. When that happened, I text Shoot and I said, I assume we wasn't supposed to hear him. Like, question mark, and Shoot replied, I definitely wouldn't assume that, which was a very, very, very fair response. So, yes, I love the idea of Santana and Ortiz of King. If they're going to do it, I hope that the conclusion is Kingston just being like, you guys go and win those tag titles on your own, right? Like, you don't need me, you don't need Chris. I think that's the play here in the end, because it's difficult as a fan of theirs. I like that they're always factored in some regard, but you want them to have their own thing, right? Like, you want them to, and there's a good spot for most teams, but they're an absolute top team. So they can, they have a higher ceiling than that. So this is fair, Evan, but also please don't make me watch Eddie Kingston do a silent movie with Ortiz, like telling him to be quiet. I'm sorry, I have my limits when it comes to authenticity, but you're correct. Now, Bob, you love yourself some Dark Order, right?
I do.
Now, I take your Dark Order and I raise you, the best friends, who are now a family with Chaos, and also feature officially Sue in Chaos, which means she's in the same faction as Tomohiro Ishii and Kazuchika Okada, which is tremendous in many, many ways. That was a nice deal last night, right? Like, great execution, tremendous example of that act kind of being like the wholesome part of the promotion, right?
Yeah. I mean, that ruled. I liked it. Like, I liked the match itself a lot, but like the post-match stuff was excellent. Like, I didn't even think, maybe Trent will come back. It wasn't even on my mind, so it really did pop me.
Yeah, it's it's really interesting. Like this talent roster is such that Trent is a guy that honestly, in another scenario, you could easily look at what Trent has in terms of skill set and be like, Trent's a player, right? He's a guy you can easily rotate out into big singles matches. Now, obviously, because of his injury problems, like you're not going to be rushing to that now. But that's the team. Like him and Chuck could easily get those belts eventually, and that's a queue now. There's a queue forming in terms of the tag titles. This is a serious roster, and sometimes it's easy to forget that until you kind of see it in motion. Like this show here is a perfect example. You had the Battle Royal, you had an 8-man tag, you had the other tag match. Like there's a whole lot of depth. Speaking of such, I have to say, Bob, this is my time to let the chat take a victory lap, okay? On her first showings in AEW, I was unsure on what Jamie Hayter's ceiling was because I could tell there was something there, but like the chat kept saying she's got to be champ soon. Like she's a saying a building block, an absolute star. And like first few matches, I saw flashes, but nothing that made me that confident. This last 2 outings she's had, man.
Yeah.
Like she's just been spectacular. This match last night, I honestly thought it was the best match on the show by like a decent distance. I thought it was just spectacular. Where is you at on this one, Bob? Riho and Jamie Hayter?
Yeah, it was awesome. Was kind of back in the fold because she's very good. She was kind of off for a while, and Jamie Hayter really is putting it together here.
Oh my God, Bob was froze.
Finish or what have you. I think when we get the actual match, it will probably be. We good?
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I think it's going to be Britt's best title defense once we get to that. And yeah, I mean, shout out to Jamie Hayter too. That was an excellent match. I really enjoyed the Brainbuster and just good stuff.
If the chat got the experience I got, because earlier on, Bob, I'm regret to inform you that you were freezing. And my experience there, and I'd like the chat to confirm they got the same, was that the audio stopped. And when your video resumed, the audio just played as was. So you were sitting just still while you spoke, which was quite the visual. They got the same experience. Bob, would you like to use your new like extension thing that you paid money for? Is that not available to you?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't completely dropped out today, so that's good. But
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that's fine. I'm just, look, this is perfect. It looked like he was eating air. Air. The man was eating air. Yeah, it was incredible. Now, Riho is someone that honestly, listen, folks, if you're a professional wrestling fan, you have to concede the deal. Yeah, everyone has to say it before they say any opinion, right? Well, it's subjective and all that stuff. I'm kind of amazed at how divisive Riho is. I think she's one of the safest bets in the whole division to have a great match. She is the idea that her size is like a flaw when she uses it the way she does and she sells the way she does. I find to be insane. Like it's one thing if she went out there and she stood in front of Jamie Hayter and they traded strikes and she hit her with lariats and she sold.
Mm-hmm.
She is honestly a top tier babyface, and she's a real kind of a centerpiece of the division in a way that, because of many circumstances, we haven't seen in the last 18 months now.
Yes.
Now the key is, and I've said this elsewhere, when this Brit program concludes, however long it'll be, I assume it will just be the next match and that'll be done. They have to find a way to keep Riho factored in. They just have to. This division has got a lot better in terms of depth and stuff, and the in-ring is continually kind of climbing. But Riho remains one of the absolute elite among those names. Like, where have you? Because I assume you didn't watch a lot of the early AEW stuff, right? Like, did you see any of her title reign?
Not really. Like, I saw, I think, a couple of the pay-per-views, but yeah, I wasn't like watching the weekly TV then. So
this is like your first real title in big matches, right? This last couple of weeks.
Yes.
Okay, so where would you put, like, and this is obviously a tough question off the top of your head, but in ring, if I said to you, you rank like who you're most confident in having a show-stealing match, give me your like top names in the AEW Women's Division. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, I think Sheeta's up there. I think Serena Deeb's up there.
Yep.
And then Rio might just be right on. I think those are the top two, and then and then it goes with her. And I'd like to put Ruby up there. I don't know that she's shown it quite in AEW yet, but Thunder Rosa obviously up there as well.
Statlander I think is close to.
Yeah, I think Britt is better than people give her credit for, but she is still kind of missing one signature match of her title reign.
Yeah, I think the Statlander match was really good, but I definitely agree with like Britt's one of those cases where one side goes too far in one direction, the other one does, the truth is generally in the middle. Seeing these powerhouses is going to be a good listen tonight at work. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. It's probably not a good listen, but I'm glad you have something to listen to at work, pal. I'm sure the competition will be sorry to hear that. Other distraction sayings. I love that you can. The idea of just super chatting other distraction sayings is tremendous to me. This seems bad, Bob. How in the shit did Bob O'Neill become a featured player on Fightful? A true sign of the times. My answer to that, as most things, I can't actually explain. The business has changed. Bob, do you have an answer for that?
I mean, it was mostly because of you, to be honest. But
yeah, well, I kind of wanted you to say that. I'm glad you did. It's I do think, Bob, generally, I don't get enough credit for the stars I make around here.
Exactly.
Do some incredible things when you love the business. Incredible. I love this super chat, Jabler. Incredible double stand when it comes to Rio's size. Brock and Ray working together is, oh my God, tremendous word. Yes. That Ray comparison I like a lot because Ray is the same in that he weaponizes his size to work a certain way. And I get why people get frustrated when Jim Ross, like he does. I understand he says the weight thing a lot when he's around. But I have always thought there was a charm to it purely in the sense that it's such a storytelling tool for her. Yeah. Now, it was times 10 last night because Jamie Hayter is a powerhouse, right? So it was like a natural. You can run that match 100 times over and you'll always have the same dynamic. So, no, I agree with that completely. Ray is actually a very, very good comparison. You tweeted it, people might get mad, but it's a good one, I promise.
It is.
Phantom here with a super chat. Tremendous super chats here this evening. Crucifix Bomb was the perfect example. Rio doesn't beat you with power moves. She wins with ingenuity. My God. That has always been her strength. Yeah, tremendous. Absolutely correct. And a great example of how, there are some folks will judge her stuff without watching it. Because if you watch it, you can see exactly what we're talking about here. Now, Bob, speaking about things that when you watch them, you'll quickly understand what is being talked about. I actually watched NXT 2.0 this week. I have proof too, which sorry to hear that. If you go and sign up, latenightgrin.com, you can watch me watching NXT, a live watch along of the world famous developmental product. There's definitely not a third brand anymore. Well, you were froze for like 30 seconds there, and it was incredible.
I heard you.
Okay, good. I watched it for the first time. I didn't like it much, but that's fine. I think there's a very, very real case. It's just not for me, and that happens. But I am really intrigued by this as a bigger topic in the sense that what is success for NXT 2.0? Because I don't want to get ahead of myself. I think we can pretty safely say this is probably not going to be a commercial smash hit. I don't think they're going to add hundreds of thousands of people to the viewership they had before. I think the evidence is quickly compiling that is not going to be the case, right?
Yeah.
So what is success for NXT 2.0, Bob?
Yeah, I mean, it's good that, it's development and, it's going to be more cohesive with the main roster. We talked about that a little bit before. I just don't know that, a 2-hour weekly television program is in your best interest, or is it sustainable, a streaming platform where you can kind of just go back to what you were doing, maybe tape, 2 or 3 shows at a time and just make them an hour. Peacock, and that could even get you a bigger following, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Before we go any further, how likely do you think it is that it reverts back to that in the next year, say? What do you think?
It wouldn't shock me because, my thing, and, we talked about this a little bit yesterday on Twitter where, it's going to be better than anything else I can, but then,
My God.
Brandon,
I agree, Bob.
God.
Yeah.
No, I was saying like I do think it's likely that they will go back to Peacock because I told you like it's better than anything else they could put on USA, but then we found out yesterday that's not really the case.
Yeah, that's not ideal. I would agree. I'm just sorry, but I'm just going to file a complaint to Fightful that I can get my money back that you're getting paid on my behalf. Just, quickly check my spreadsheet and make sure that bonus gets to that. I'm messing. Bless Bob. He's trying his best. No, I definitely think there is truth to what you said in theory, right? Like if you build talents that Vince and co are more likely to enjoy and want to kind of write for, that is a positive.
Yes.
Unfortunately, they are way too spotty with that actual like track record. Braun is a great example. Like if Braun's cut, then it's really hard to build guys confidently saying, yeah, they'll love this guy. Bray, obviously, there's other stuff, but like it's still a good example of it. There's other guys that struggled, like Rusev. How did they not make Rusev the world champion, right? Like it's really hard to confidently talk about what kind of talent they want at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are obviously some big kind of bright spots on this brand. Carmelo Hayes is great. He is not a homegrown guy. I'm pretty sure he's been wrestling for some time.
Yes.
But like this is he's getting kind of spotlight here, and that's good. Bron Breakker is the big one, where it's like I think he's had like 15 matches, not even that. And I don't know how confident I am on them kind of, making the most of him. But the question is, and this is something that I think goes under the radar a little bit, what is better for Bron Breakker's star potential? Doing another year of NXT 2.0 TV, or you just throw him at the deep end and say sink or swim, we're going to push you on the main roster? And before you go on this, Bob, the only reason I ask is, if NXT 2.0 is going to be a television product only, he isn't really protected on that show, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of like building the perception that, or the perspective that, in some ways being on that show is worse because you get kind of branded as one of those guys. What do you think about that as a general idea?
Yeah, no, I think you can bring him up and just kind of have him develop more on the main roster. Like, there's plenty of people there that he can have good matches with. And I don't know, necessarily that continuing to stay down there and just kind of learning the basics, which he pretty clearly has established already, is going to do anything for him.
It's interesting. This week, obviously a big topic this week was about the WWE's recruitment, right? And it's certainly polarizing. People are all over the place on this. And my take is as simple as this. There will be great wrestlers that never work an independent show, come straight out of football and go to WWE. There'll be terrible wrestlers do that. And the same goes for the guys that, work the independents and get there. It is what it is. You can't, I think anyone kind of looking away from either side, because let's be clear about this, Bob. Some folks do the opposite where they dismiss all the indie guys. And it's like, that's dumb.
Yeah.
That's complete. It makes no sense. However, you need to have a system that actually enables these guys to learn. And I don't know. NXT 2.0 TV is definitely good preparation for the main roster in the sense that, yes, it's chaotic TV and you cut, these wacky promos, you're a character, and all that stuff. But they need live events, right? Yes. And without live events, which I assume they intend to bring back at some point, I guess.
Yeah, if I had to guess, they're probably going to bring back like that Florida loop they used to do, right? Like, I don't think they're going to, do the traveling, we're going to go to 3 cities across one region in a weekend. I don't think they're going to do that, but the Florida shows are always smaller anyway. Yeah,
those shows, I mean, they're not exactly trying to draw big houses, is what you're saying, right? It'll be okay drawing in those buildings. They're not the biggest, but it's interesting. I think there's a lot of evidence that suggests that, like, you can recruit everybody, but if the system is so kind of hollow, you're only going to get a certain level of results. Not everyone is going to be Bron Breakker. He's clearly a natural, right? Like, he obviously has good instincts. And I'm wondering here in this next, we'll see what happens in the next 6 months. If live events aren't a regular thing in NXT, I see no reason to have that dude just doing like a minor league version of what he'd do on Raw or SmackDown. I don't get that. The other thing is, if it's now developmental, why even bother trying to re-sign Gargano and O'Reilly? Like, you and I are wrestling nerds, so we obviously know they're great wrestlers, but like the way they produce that show, does it matter? Like,
No,
I don't really get that element of the like game plan. That doesn't make sense to me. Look at the names they've cut. Why are they so desperate to re-sign guys? They clearly don't have anything really in the grand scheme of things. Do you think that's just, I don't know, do you think that's a case of the right hand not knowing what the left's doing and such?
yeah, I do. Like, I think that's fair, and I think maybe you can find somewhere on the main roster for. I'm not so sure about Kyle. I do think for Gargano you probably could, but like as far as either of them continuing to be at NXT, I don't really see it.
Yeah, it's interesting. Maybe we'll get into that some in a second here. Kate, big star, actual star in the chat, was super chat. She's close to the main roster. The main roster isn't selling/drawing. Unlike you two, are simply built different. I am built different based on Bob's Wi-Fi tonight. He is not built different at all. Where does Ciampa go? So Ciampa has been pretty outspoken in terms of like not being a main roster guy, right? Like he's made it pretty clear he's not desperate to be going up to the main roster. I don't know what you do next with him after he drops that belt. Like, because it feels like he's done every particular angle possible in NXT. What would be your suggestion for Tommaso Ciampa? Is it as simple as he'll be moving on like everyone else seems to be moving on?
Yeah, I mean, because like I don't know what else he's gonna do there, like you said. So I don't know if you just go to him and be like, hey, you can go to the main roster if you want. We'll give you a tryout or whatever. Otherwise, I'm not sure what else we have for you here. You want to, hang him up, become a coach, that's fine. But like as far as being, featured player on TV every week, I don't know what we're gonna do with you.
Because there's these names, right? So like, look, I saw that your favorite broadcast journalist, Dave Meltzer, this evening, he was talking. I want to make this clear. He did not report that Gargano and O'Reilly are staying with WWE or any of that stuff. He said there is a belief in NXT that they're coming back, but one of the guys was very tempted by AEW, and there's no decision made. I want to make it clear because that stuff gets out of hand. But if the idea that you obviously have those two are kind of now they're looming over top of all of this thing. You have Roddy, unironically, you have Roddy, and you have Ciampa. They're the core guys, right? Who else is like an actual original? Because LA Knight is. Yeah. Bless him, he's not an original, right? And Pete Dunne is young enough that you can kind of...
Yes.
So, how do you keep those guys kind of factored in enough that they still feel like stars by whatever their perspective on stars is, without making them completely chew the scenery, while around the NXT 2.0 guys? Because let's be completely real about this. As long as they're running PC in front of those fans, or the Capital Wrestling Center, in front of those fans, they're always going to be more interested in Gargano, in Ciampa, Riley if he comes back, in Strong. And it's like, well, obviously their presence helps the wrestling show, but is it a detriment to the development of the guys you're trying to develop? I have no idea. What do you think? They have an answer to that? I don't know. Where are you at on that?
Yeah, I don't think so right now. Like, it seems they're really just kind of taking it as it comes, which, you should probably have a long-term plan instead. But, like, because you don't want to lose those guys, but not all of them really fit on the main roster. I think, like, doing what they're doing with Strong, where he's part of a faction that kind of has a mix of developmental guys and, established guys, that's a good thing to do. But they don't seem like they want to just build a bunch of factions. But I think that's a good way to use these guys.
Yes, I agree with everything I heard of that, Bob. Again, an incredible shame from your Wi-Fi tonight. This will be the last time Bob and I ever do a show on Fightful. We've both been fired while we're on the air here, folks. So please, start hashtags. Please sign Bob. stuff of that ilk. We're going to need it after tonight, but it'll be okay. I promise it'll be okay. Demon Grin is correct. Jez would never allow this much NXT talk. Well, I find the whole philosophy to be intriguing, kind of like hilarious in some ways because it's such a complete divorce from what they've done for the last 5-6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's obviously evidence that, recruiting guys like this is better for what they do with their product. You only have to look at the champs right now to know that, right? Like there is truth to it.
Yes.
You tweeted saying the other night, Bob, and I'm sure people got mad at you, but we talked about it a little bit. Like, it is wild, the idea that the Undisputed Era never ended up on main roster TV. They never was part of a main roster brand. They were never, in this big angle where they moved up. And do you think that's a case of it never would have worked anyway because the audiences are different? Or is that them overthinking and stuff? Because the more that I kind of ponder it, I think they missed the boat in a major, major way on that whole deal.
Yeah, I think they're overthinking it a little bit. Like right after, Survivor Series 2019, when you have kind of all of NXT standing strong at that event, like you probably could have done it there, put them on SmackDown. We talked about this the other day.
Mm-hmm.
Your top heels are, The Fiend and Baron Corbin.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So you probably could have slotted them in there somewhere, but I don't know. Like, it's possible the pandemic changed some stuff too. I don't know.
Yeah, there was a time where I would have told you folks that, it's different and, they're smaller guys, but when you look at how over Cole is on that AEW product, and I know it's a different fan base, I get that. But man, it really does feel like that era of NXT will be looked at as kind of a prelude to what AEW's been in a weird way.
Yes.
And I can't help but when you see Gargano come out in NXT 2.0, and I'm watching the people react to it, and I'll be honest, you guys, it stunned me how emotional everyone was because to me, I'm kind of distanced enough from what that product was that I don't have those the fond memories are there, but I'm not as attached. And it dawned on me, like, when I watched the people react to the attack at the end, and I was like, is this heat or is this people just kind of being sad that it's over? Like, that was a real era of wrestling that people enjoyed. And it seems pretty clear, Bob, it isn't coming back anytime soon. So, I don't know, what do you think, if you were to guess, you and I are doing a podcast in 2031, we're doing the distraction on the ringer. We both sold our soul and talk about guns and shit. And I say to you, Bob, what was Triple H's NXT? What was its legacy? From about 2015 to 2020. What do you think the answer to that will be? Will it be that was the final hope, or will it be a complete failure? What do you think?
No, I don't know if it's fair to call it a complete failure because for 3 or 4 years it was excellent. Just someone else came along and was just doing it better. I think, and once AEW came, and first of all, NXT wanted to do this war, and it kind of changed them to doing week-to-week booking, instead of like long-term stuff. And then I just think Tony Khan just did a better job of it too. Like, he doesn't have necessarily the limitations that Triple H might have had, but yeah, I mean that's really what it was because NXT was excellent for years, and it's a shame.
I like this. I like the comparison of early 90s WWE to NXT 2.0. Golden era is obviously it's a different golden era, but I do like that comparison a lot. There's definitely a lot of evidence as we kind of enter this new chapter and all that stuff where it's like there's definitely a chance, Bob, that history is real kind to what they did with that NXT brand. There definitely is because you look at AEW's product, they're all over it now. It's only we're only 2 years removed from the war beginning, and there's NXT guys all over AEW's product. So it's certainly interesting to try and figure out, kind of how this thing will develop and such. But do you think this was inevitable, or do you think it's a case of the whole war deal, like, kind of destroying the brand?
I mean, I don't know that they were ever going to have long-term success as like a third brand. Right. But I think the war kind of sped it up a little bit too.
Yeah, that's probably the truth of it, right? Like the end result was inevitable, but man, did it accelerate things to lose like that on TV and the way they had to book stuff. And I kicked this around elsewhere, I think, but like I'm really intrigued by the alternate where when AEW Dynamite is announced, NXT just announces they're moving forward an hour. And they don't reference AEW at all, but they kind of basically tell the audience by doing that, we get our audience is going to be shared, so you can watch this as a 3-hour block.
Yeah.
I would love to know how different things are if they do that. Because honestly, I am not confident they'd be any different at all. But like the idea that kind of making a fight of it, they used NXT as a battering ram, basically, right?
Yeah.
And there's a chance that brand is, its image is diminished as such. It will never ever recover from it. I mean, look, I'm not a big ratings guy, but it doesn't seem like that brand's red hot right now, Bob. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I would agree. The ratings are not great at the moment. It's pretty clear a lot of people are not, super thrilled with what the show has become, and that's a bummer.
Yeah. So, you're one of the cool kids, Bob. Are you suggesting it isn't as hip as Michael Hayes intended and as Bruce Pritchard thought it would be?
I would agree, yes.
Okay, that's fair enough. Now, folks, we do have Bob is not going to be expected to the corner 3 tonight. He's done an hour of this program. Also, with his internet connection, it would actually be the corner 90 seconds as he just drops in and out inexplicably throughout. We do have a guest planned for the corner 3. He's actually just joined in the StreamYard here. I will not spoil it. There's a special intro. He tells me something special is coming, so stay tuned.
Wow.
We are mere minutes away from another groundbreaking segment here on the world famous Distraction podcast, which tonight has featured its last episode ever. Now, Bob.
Yeah.
Final subject before we go to this corner 3. I'm intrigued. You absolutely owned me with this Dante Martin thing. You informed me it would be an angle. You was correct. It was an angle. Absolutely right. Made a fool of me. Now, my question is, how do you... Oh, my goodness. This thing just got insane. So I'm sorry, folks. This show's about to become really something to see. I don't know if our guests can see this down there, but this is going to be something. Now, Bob, how do you book this Dante Martin deal? Does MJF repeat, or do you get creative with it?
Yeah, I mean, I think MJF is going to win, but yeah, I'm not sure that you can just do it like straight up. And, Dante obviously has friends that, are we going to get like an MJF and Wardlow against Dante and Leo match? That's something they could do.
Well, I don't know, Bob. It is with incredible excitement that I announced that I believe the corner 3 match became a corner 6. Which would be, and I'm looking at the faces. They look bad. They seem to agree. This is now a corner 6.
My God,
Bob, this could be the end of your run on the Distraction, bro. I'm sitting here. I'm looking at what's happening. I don't know if either of them know what's going to happen, but folks, I think there's only one way to really lead into this here. I want to be clear here. Jeremy in the chat asks, it is not Mark Madden. If it was, I would not be here, nor would Bob.
It's true.
We do have, believe it or not, we do have some standards on this program. It is not Mark Madden. It's some big stars, some of which I didn't even know were going to be here tonight, but there's some big stars. Bob, is it Jeff Jarrett?
Yes, it's Jeff Jarrett. You'll be seeing Jeff Jarrett in 90 seconds.
Bob, you have a minute here. Explain yourself and why you no longer watch Kurt Angle's podcast.
Yeah, I do too many watch-alongs, and I'm not really a fan of watch-alongs. And, unfortunately, the thing about, I enjoy the Conrad podcast a lot, but you're a guy that's just talent his entire career. You don't really new information, so...
Good Lord, Bob. This is an absolute all-time Bob. What you've been something today, right? I'm not even going to let you continue to splutter and buffer. I'm going to lead to, this is going to be saying, it's going to be an adventure, right, folks? There's only one way to set the stage for it. Here we go.
What's up, guys?
Jeremy? You know what I got to do here, right? Hold tight.
Knocked away and stolen by Holiday. Phoenix has to foul. And a pinnacle ball throws it down.
Let me tell you something, folks. I'm sitting here. I'm looking at time. I'm worried about Bob's internet. I'm trying to just keep this thing alive. The great Alex Palowski, who I'd booked by sending him a message at like 4 a.m. my time, and just his name in all caps. I got him booked. We got across the line. He's going to do the corner 3, and I'm setting it up. I'm stalling to get to Alex, and then in comes Jeremy O'Neill, 31, and at that point I'm like, now we're double booked. What is this anymore? Alex, you go first because you were formally booked and you're being paid handsomely for this appearance. Excited to be here, pal?
I'm very excited. It is as overbooked as a WWE title match.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I didn't realize I was going to be doing part of a corner 6.
Me either.
Yeah,
Me either.
I love that Jeremy figured that his co-host had nothing planned for this segment, so just
No,
dropped
not
in.
at all. I knew what was planned. Guys, I'm trapped in a closet over
Sorry,
here. All right, what are we doing? I'm
Yeah.
trapped in a closet here. I wore my hat to pay respects to O'Neill, who's never going to be on the show again.
True.
And
I've heard that. Yeah.
They threw me in a closet. I don't know what's going on around here. No one tells me
Okay.
anything.
Okay, how's the best way? Jeremy, do you have something planned for a 3-minute segment? I sense you don't.
No, I was just going to pop in and make my big announcement. I'm assuming you have not made it yet.
I was going to do it as like the big close, and we were going to like throw, do a party. Okay, we'll do that afterwards. Should we let the great Alex Palowski just do like an actual corner 3?
Yes.
Assuming you have something planned, Alex.
I did.
Okay.
This wasn't part of it. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't the only one wearing a weird hat.
Okay. All right. Let's hit the intro one more time for the folks.
Knocked away and stolen by Holiday. Phoenix has to foul. And a pinnacle ball throws it down.
God, that's incredible, huh? Alex, you're on the clock, pal. Go ahead.
All right. It's a corner 3, and I decided to mine about Spider-Man, which is in the news right now. Everyone's talking about Spider-Man tickets, and everybody's from the old Spider-Mans are gonna be back in this new Spider-Man, even all the villains and stuff. And I was a big fan of some of the Spider-Mans from before, but the Spider-Man that I wasn't the biggest fan of is Spider-Man 3. So this is a corner Spider-Man 3. It's a corner 3 all about Spider-Man 3. Okay, so the guy who is the supervillain's coming back into this new Spider-Man from the multiverse is Sandman. And I don't know if all of you are too young to remember Spider-Man 3 when Sandman was in it, but it had the single worst scene in the history of cinema where Sandman became Sandman. It was a guy who was just escaping from jail and being chased by dogs into some marsh, and he fell into a sand pit. And then we cut to a bunch of scientists who say, hey, I think the sensors say there's something in the pit. And the other scientist goes, it's probably just a bird. It'll fly away when the machine starts up. And they're like, yeah, you're right. It's probably just a bird. Let's go. And they do a thing where a bunch of sand whips around and turns a dude into a sand dude. Now, I don't know what kind of sensors you're running in there, scientists, but if you can't tell the difference between the size of a bird and the size of a dude, then that's bad sensors. And what are we gonna do? What happens if it was a bird and it didn't fly away? Then you created Sandbird. We got Sandbird flying around. Just a bird made out of sand. What the hell's that? And what was the whole point of this? If there was nothing in the pit, would you fuse sand with sand and make sand? That doesn't make any sense. What if it was a bear? If you can't tell the difference between a bird and a dude, you can't tell the difference between a sand and a bear. Now you've made Sand Bear. Good job, science. We got a giant bear roaming around Manhattan that's made out of sand. I'm just telling you, this is the best argument that sometimes science isn't the answer.
Bob says that a lot, actually, about other topics. Well, there's 30 seconds left, but I'm fine with that being there. Let's hit the outro. Here we go.
Knocked away and stolen by Holiday. Phoenix has to foul, and a pinnacle ball throws it down.
So, quickly, before you depart, Alex.
Yeah.
Can you explain to the people how just awful an experience is when I request you come on the show and the way that I go about it?
Well, we have been talking about me like guest starring on some of the various Joe Hulbert projects, and all of a sudden I just get a DM from you that says Alex Pulowski in all caps. I need to know what your schedule is tomorrow. Can you confirm? And I was like, for what? And it's just like, it was for as long as I can have you. It's like, but like for what? It's like, for the distraction? Yes. Sorry about that. For the distraction. It's like, okay, like when does that go on? And he'll like, well, you'll figure this though. And we can like, well, I can't do the whole thing. So maybe I could give you some time, whatever. But I just love the Alex Pulowski. What is your schedule tomorrow? Can you confirm? And I had no idea what that was.
At least you gave him some type of heads up. I just DM people like 30 minutes before the show and be like, what are you doing? Can you do this segment?
Yeah. I mean, I just think it's a good way to set the table for it, you know? Just make sure the guy knows you know his name. And then you go from there. So there's something in that, I think. Now, Alex, are you good to stay for Jeremy's big announcement? Because it is a big announcement.
I'm going to stay for like 3 more minutes.
Okay. Jeremy O'Neill, 31.
Please.
Tell the people of the big news.
First off, apologies that I've been missing shows and stuff. As you can see, I've been locked in a closet for the past 4 days. I've not been given any type of internet access until now. So that is why I finally had to tell my keeper, beg, like I need some internet access to make this big announcement. And they were like, fine, here, you have 5 minutes. I think I'm already gone past that. I'm probably going to be punished. Not great. But big announcement is people may know that I wanted to do a series where I watch wrestling with wrestlers. And I'm happy to announce that actually happened earlier today. And my series with Jonathan Gresham will debut tomorrow at 8 a.m. on the Distraction channel, youtube.com/Fightful Distraction and youtube.com/Fightful Distraction. Me and Jonathan Gresham will be watching his match against Alex Coughlin from the recent New Japan Strong Show. And not only will we be watching that match, Gresham, we did about 40 minutes. And Gresham just provides insights on like his philosophy and like how he puts the matches together and like breaking everything down to very X's and O's styles. And I'm pretty proud to announce that Jonathan Gresham and I are pretty much like best friends now. So it was a very good time that we had together. So very excited for that. Again, that's going to premiere on youtube.com/Fightful Distraction, 8 a.m. tomorrow.
My faults, Jeremy.
That smells like big money to me. Give them hell, TK.
Fitting, right?
Smells
like big money to me, bro.
Seems like that is good thoughts. Anything else on this show? Are you guys done? Are you doing a post show?
I don't know, man. We're doing a post show.
I'm not doing the post show. I'm over time. I'm going to be punished.
I know. You can, but look, Jeremy, you have anything else to promote? Because you can. Bob and I will wrap this thing up in only fashion we can.
I don't really have anything else to promote. Don't follow Robert O'Neill on Twitter at Robert O'Neill 31. Don't do that. Don't go to latenightgrin.com. Please do not do that and sign up for $1 if you're not happy. O'Neill will give you your $1 back. Please do not do that at all. Guys, I do appreciate like all the nice messages people have sent as I've missed shows and stuff. I hope to be back on a normal schedule next week. I promise you I'm fine. I'm doing good outside of being, in these confines here. But overall, I actually am doing very good. So I'm good, everyone. But I appreciate all the support and stuff. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Alex. Hi, O'Neill. Bye, everybody.
Bye, pal. Alex, I appreciate you joining me tonight, pal. You do the same. You promote your many wonderful shows.
You follow me at Alex Sourgraps. On Fightful Select, I host the anti-WWE screeds that are called Sourgraps. Occasionally on Twitter, I dunk on people after they've tried to dunk on me, and I block their shot. It's just a thing that happens. So you might have fun doing that. And on Tuesdays, me and the wonderful Kate Hensler, who, much like Jeremy and Jonathan Gresham, is best friends with CM Punk now because he sent her two gifts on Twitter. So now they're best friends. She co-hosts with me on Tuesdays talking about NXT 2.0, which, as you guys discussed, is filth. So we try and make it fun, by riffing on what the insanity of it. So
Yes, and it is very fun. I've informed Alex before that I don't watch any professional wrestling content, let alone professional wrestling itself. Well, I once watched Alex's program, and I actually tweeted about it. I was so fired up. Very good at what you do, pal. I'm telling you.
Thank you.
You'll make it big one time, man. I'm telling you.
Eventually.
Yeah, share the screen with Bob O'Neill enough, and you'll get over. Okay.
Bye, guys.
Alex, thanks,
Bye,
pal.
Alex.
Speak soon.
Bye.
Well, Bob, meet again.
Yeah, that was fun.
It's this point in the show, folks, that I will leave you with Bob O'Neill, who will do a solo monologue on the current political climate.
Oh, God.
Bob, the floor is yours. I'm messing, Bob. You should shoot me down when I request things like that from you.
I mean, I wasn't gonna do it, but
No. Imagine you did. Yeah, it'd be something. Poor Bob's froze. He's froze again. Bless his heart.
I'm sorry. I don't know what the deal is. I gotta get this figured out because I do too many of these a week to have bad internet.
It's fine. You've only got 2 more shows tonight to do. I'm sure it'll be okay. Apparently, I missed super chats. Okay, JJ. Alex was outside touching grass and waving the distraction flag. Yeah, Bob Satin. My God. I didn't realize that was the case, but you guys brothers?
Just mean for no reason.
Agreed. Tremendous. All out, all over again. That's a great super chat. Thank you, Frank. I think that's all the super chats. If I missed them, I do apologize. Folks, this has been, honestly, a lot of fun. I'm sorry for it being bad. That happens sometimes, This week has been a real challenge in a lot of ways for myself, for Jeremy in much more, legitimate ways, me just in a wrestling podcast sense. Anxiety been through the roof. It's been real testing, and we're going to do a little bit more on the post show. I appreciate everyone that supports us on here. I have everyone big love for everyone that supports us on the Distraction channel, which you can go to the post show on now in about 10 minutes, and latenightgrin.com too. It's a lot of fun. I would throw it to Bob, but I think he'd freeze and would make this less sincere and wholesome, which I don't want after this, right, Bob? This has been a very wholesome show. But, yeah, I never thought we'd end up here, Bobby, I got to say. If you'd have told me 2 years ago, when I probably had you muted, that we would be sitting here doing a show on Fightful together, when I didn't even have a show on Fightful, I don't think I was even writing for Fightful at that point, I'd have been surprised, let me tell you. But I think there's only one way for to kind of sign out on this deal, and we'll throw it to our friend, the confirmed shoot, for a message that in these trying times we can all get behind. Turn your speakers down a little bit, folks. For more content like that, you can go to latenightgrin.com and see the great confirmed shoot. He's going to be booking some Texas Wrestling Federation with Bob in a few hours here. But before then, go to the Fightful Distraction channel. JJ, can you put the link? Let me do it. I'm asking JJ here, like I actually pay the guy. Incredible. All right, let me link this for people so they can go and check it out. We're going to be doing a post show. You guys are going to decide what we talk about as usual. Very, very Q&A oriented. You don't need to do super chats to get questions. We're just going to read the chat and talk shorts about Christmas. Apparently that's happening soon. And that link's there. So join us there, folks. This has been an absolute pleasure. Hopefully it's the first and last time that I host this program. And back to our usually scheduled content next week. Thank you, Hall Howl, and good night.